Hey, brothers and sisters, this was a quick sketch of Zoro that I did the other day after the live stream, and it was actually made for Zoro Fanboy 124. So, hope you enjoy it. One Piece, Chapter 52 The Oath. Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the action-packed and just really wonderfully woven tale. I just couldn't spit the words out there for a minute, of One Piece. The last chapter saw balls-to-the-wall action, and Zoro, unfortunately, getting his ass handed to him by Hawkeye. Clearly, Zoro is just not up to the task yet, and anything and everything that he threw at Hawkeye was pretty much just laughed off. I don't even think he made contact with him. Certainly didn't injure him or anything like that. So, the end of the chapter, Zoro, a couple of his swords have been destroyed, and he's pretty much just nailed, by the giant sword that Hawkeye carries. So that's how the chapter starts off, and and Zoro still doesn't want to give in. Even he's bloodied, he's beaten, he's bruised, he's cut. And Hawkeye goes, he sees something in him, though, and he likes the determination that he sees in him, and he respects it. And he even says, within the first couple of panels, he says, "Don't be so eager to die, boy," And he slaps him around a little bit more and tosses him around, and starts getting everybody really upset because everybody thinks that he's gone, he's dead, right? That he's been killed. Luffy goes and decides, within a couple of pages to go, okay, fine, Zoro had his turn, now I'm going to get in there. So he goes, and because they're fighting on the smaller ship, of course, the smaller boat, and it's, I don't know, maybe 100 feet, 100 yards out to sea, and Luffy goes and, stretches his arm out and fires himself over there. Yasaku and Johnny and Usopp are all coming over in their boat, and just trying to get to Zoro. And Luffy's, basically, he's like, all right, whatever, now I'm gonna kick your ass. And Hawkeye is just like, you know what, you were wise to let your friend finish out his battle. That's the way he wanted it and everything else. And he basically just kind of tells him, and he says, what's your deal? What is your, he wants to be the greatest swordsman in the world. What's your deal? And Luffy says, I'm going to be the king of the pirates. And he says, whoa, boy, you got a treacherous path ahead of you, son. And Luffy says, I don't care. That's what I'm going to be. And this is, of course, while, during, after, before, and after that he gets his ass slammed around, and knocked around by Hawkeye, because certainly he's not going to pose any type of problem to him either. And then, of course, too, everybody on the ship, Zeff and the crew, they're all like, oh wow, he's got the power of the devil fruit, because they see him stretch out all crazy when he gets over to the boat. But he winds up, he tells him, he says, listen, he says, I didn't kill your friend. He said, he's just unconscious. He's cut and he's bloody and wounded. But what I want you to do is, give him some salve, put some salve on his wounds, let him heal up, and we'll meet again in the future, once you guys are better equipped to handle me, But pretty much let this be a lesson, that there's bigger and badder out there, and this is the type of stuff to come if you're going to be trying to sail the Grand Line, and if your aspirations of becoming the king of the pirates and him being the greatest swordsman that ever lived, So Yasaku and Johnny and Usopp, they're trying to make sure he's okay. And he's unconscious, doesn't seem like he's breathing, he's not talking. Yasaku and Johnny are like, brother, come on, And Luffy's like, what the hell, Zoro, and then all of a sudden Zoro is just like, Luffy, and he just like from the dead just like sticks his arm and his sword up, and Luffy's like, yeah, what, and Zoro kind of is just half out of it and groggy, and really. It's kind of comical, but at the same time, it's sad because, he just would not give up. And, even Sanji mentioned, he's like, dude, just give up your stupid dream, at least for right now. You know what I mean? You're clearly beat. And just prior to that, happening, though, I remember, Hawkeye goes and he says to him, don't be so eager to die. See the world grow strong. I'll be waiting at the top, And I really like what he said. He says, strive with your heart and mind to beat this blade, I'll be waiting for you, and just use everything that you have. And, he's more or less just saying, I'm encouraging you. I see something in you, and I'm encouraging you and letting you live so you can maybe live to fight another day and maybe even live to beat me another day, And he's basically encouraging him. He's not making fun of him. He's like, go ahead, beat me, Rorona Zoro, you know? So back to Zoro, though. Zoro, sticks that arm up, and then he basically says, he's just like, I will never lose another battle again, you know? he's just determined, and then he's like, hey, you got that? King of the Pirates? And Luffy says, you got a problem with that, King of the Pirates? And Luffy says, no, I'm good with that. And he's like, he, you know? And Hawkeye just goes, yeah, they make a good team, you know? And he goes to walk away, and Don Krieg goes and jumps down, right? Don Krieg wants some, and he's like, hey, Hawkeye, I thought you came for my head, you know? And he said, well, that was my original intention, but I've had my fun. I think I'm going to go take a nap now, you know? Pretty much like, you know, I got my exercise in for the day, but you people are boring to me, right? So Don Krieg's like, all right, yeah, what the hell? I thought you came for the, you know, for my head, for the, you know, the strongest man in East Blue and all this, you know, the biggest pirate, the biggest badass. And when he sees that Hawkeye has no interest in him and turns his back on him, you know, he goes and pulls out all of his, you know, all his transformer-like guns that come out of his armor that he's equipped with, and he starts shooting at him, you know. And Hawkeye's just like, God, you know, you'll never learn, and he just fucking just disappears, you know, and takes off or escapes, you know. And in the next panel, we've got on the next page coming up towards the end of the chapter, then we've got Don Krieg basically being like, what the hell, you escaped, you know? Well, now you know that him and his people are going to turn their attention back to Chef Zeff and company on the Baratie, and you know, and take that over. So Luffy goes and he says, listen, he says to Usopp, he's like, you guys got to set sail. And Usopp's like, all right, listen, you know, me and Zoro, we'll go get Nami, because they still got to get Nami and the treasure and their ship back. And then of course, you know, Luffy's going to stay here, and he's going to deal with you know, with the pirates that are coming from Don Krieg's ship. So Luffy goes and gets back over to the ship, and then he basically goes up to the Chef Zeff, you know, old Red Leg, and he says, listen, he says, well, if I get rid of these guys, right, if I take care of these guys, will I have paid my debt to you? Because remember, he's supposed to work for a year for the cannonball that he bounced and inadvertently, you know, destroyed part of his ship and injured Chef Zeff. And Chef says, hey, that's a deal, right? So we know that the action's going to continue into the next chapter, and Luffy's going to be facing Don Krieg and his pirates. So all in all, I thought it was a very fun chapter. I thought it was real cool. Just from what I've read in some of the comments, you know, I've read that, not really a spoiler, but just that not a lot of characters actually physically die, and plus I didn't think that Zoro would die this soon in the tale. But I was expecting him to be defeated and severely wounded as he was. So, but I think it was good. I think it was a good character building lesson. You know, it kind of it's going to keep him, you know, sharp, and it's going to keep him always pushing, because when he does start to heal up, he's going to think, hey, I have to work harder than I ever have before, because I mean, this guy just like wiped his ass with me, right? And I think that's going to push him and make him strive to work that much harder to become the best. You know, you got to beat the best to be the best, which I think I said a couple of chapters ago. So let me know what you think, brothers and sisters, in the comments down below. Of course, hit the like button if you think I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching you in the next one. As always, thank you for watching, brothers and sisters. Be sure to subscribe and take a look at some of my other videos. Thanks. See you next time, Nation.